benefits and use false economy in planning your event. Many of the components of a successful event will involve spending, and this includes your stage lineup, your production budget, or broadcast distribution budget. Often your event will only be as strong as the weakest link. For example, you may decide to go big on funding a high-end speaker or band and then skimp on the production budget. In most scenarios, this would be a bad decision. And the same is true for online delivery of your event. There are some amazing solutions being offered on the market at the moment, and it's important that you don't skimp on providing an amazing experience for your audience. Now, we have advised many event coordinators who are hosting large events, and often the first component that is considered is the lineup of presenters on stage. Maybe it's famous bands and speakers who will have the ability to gather a crowd. Gifted and charismatic stage personalities are great, and they may form a component of your overall strategy. However, it's imperative that before you invite any presenters, you are clear about your metrics and your narrative. Now, the narrative is the story behind your event, the reason why your audience will want to attend your event rather than the other events where the same speakers and the bands will be attending. Discovering your narrative is typically a process which begins with discovering your why in hosting the event and the why your attendees have for attending. Now, following tried and trusted methods of storytelling and communicating your narrative is helpful for both in-person and for online events. Thinking of your potential attendees as the hero of the story that you are inviting them into, and with you as the trusted guide, is ultimately helpful to all parties and the vision which you would like to invite the attendees into. It may be that you're giving your audience a unique experience and opportunity to get involved in the most life-changing movement. And if that is true, you need to recognize and find ways to communicate that vision that involves your audience. This narrative must be communicated through your event brand guide and your written and video communication as you promote your event. Now, while this is true of all events, it is helpful not to miss this element when it comes to planning your online event, and consider the unique online methods to respond to this narrative. Determining your stage lineup. Who can communicate your goals most effectively in spoken, written, or musical form? Often the impetus, even the existence of an event, comes from the lineup of speakers, subject matter experts, influencers, and musical artists. While this may be the main hook to gather a big audience, the simple ability to gather an attractional stage lineup should not determine your event. The why and the narrative should always come first. Individuals or groups who present or perform from your stage need to serve that particular vision and narrative. And if this doesn't happen, there is a possibility that you, your audience, and your guest speaker will come away from this event feeling used, and this lack of cohesion almost never achieves the worthwhile purposes for which you started out. Now, when considering either a hybrid or a completely online event, it's important to consider the different mediums of communication you're employing. A stage in front of 50,000 people in an arena versus small screens in front of 1 million people are two entirely different mediums. Although the latter is reaching a much bigger audience, a small screen is always a much more intimate medium and requires an approach where the audience is being addressed in a more direct, one-on-one manner, much like I'm doing now. When considering your lineup, also consider how you're going to communicate to both audiences most effectively, and consider how your lineup is going to do this. Audience engagement is important in both mediums of communication. Now, it's clear to all of us that the world was taken by surprise by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the one question that we've received more than any others throughout this time is predicated on the longing to return to in-person events, but then people say how things will change in a post-COVID world with regard to online events. And our response has long been that we also long for the return to in-person events that we're seeing now. However, online events are not going away. Even before COVID, the online component of events was increasingly in demand, and the complexity was also increasing. So this is an area you shouldn't ignore for too much longer. So that's pretty much all there is for this section. So let's go through our checklist. So, you figured out the reasons why you're doing your event. The next thing you need to figure out is how to communicate what you're doing to your intended audience to ensure the right people are at your event. Although this is a little bit of a simplistic take, the human dynamics of any event remain pretty consistent whether you're a nervous high schooler wanting to pull off the student event of the century, or gathering 80,000 into a football stadium, or hosting an online event of any size. It really is true if you get that school quarterback and cheerleader and their buddies, people start paying attention no matter what demographic you're trying to reach. The quarterback may be different for different audiences, and you may have to be ready to communicate these nuances in language that your particular audience understands and connects with. But outside of these communication differences, other dynamics are actually often the same. The bottom line is that getting people to an event typically revolves around a number of rather similar factors. So let's consider the reasons why people register, buy tickets, and eventually attend an event. And these things are things that you need to consider in your networking and marketing as you prepare for your event. Number one, people will come to see a VIP, a favorite musical act, an influencer, a subject matter expert. That stage lineup is important. Number two, people come to learn. They're going to be equipped at your event. Number three, often people will register to create memories and experience a unique moment of high emotion. That might be a rock band. Number four, for the networking opportunities, often at expo events. Number five, to support a cause. Number six, to be at the event of your tribe, your affinity group, the annual get-together. Number seven, because friends and colleagues are going to the event and people want to be there and belong to the group. Number eight, people go to be inspired and get a kickstart, a kick up the backside in a particular area. And number nine, people go to be entertained. Often the reasons why people eventually attend are a combination of a number of these factors, and even more mundane reasons can just nudge a person over that finish line into actually buying a ticket. Now, we've talked about marketing, and it may start with emotion, narrative, and vision, and these are all great things, but the mechanics of getting the right amount of people to your event are just that. Mechanics. And after a number of events, you will typically be able to estimate the percentage of people who will show up when comparing that to the number of people who have registered. So if you have a free event, it might be, we typically get 50 to 60 people, 60% of people who register who actually attend. Or if you have a paid event, it might be 85 to 95% of people. Also, the same dynamics of giving attendees a nudge to register with tools like giving a price break for early bird purchases, maybe a coupon code or an opportunity to be part of an exclusive component of the event, like a VIP group. They're seemingly mundane, but they can be surprisingly effective. Therefore, it's important to employ a number of marketing strategies when inviting your potential audience. Communicating both the high-level narrative that we've talked about, as well as these more mundane tool nudges on timing, cost, and exclusivity, which can get people over the edge, and so you know the number of people who are going to attend your event. The next question is, who do you want attending your event? As we've previously mentioned, it's important to narrow in on the goals of the event that dictate who should attend. The value of success isn't always determined by the number of people registering. The question is, do you want the people who are attending to maybe complete a particular action after the event? Do you want to inspire a certain demographic to do something as a result of the event? Answering this who question will dictate your marketing strategy and the critical criteria of success moving forward. Next, why attendees buy your tickets. Knowing that it is typical for a person to buy a ticket due to several factors, which we've mentioned, it's important that you are aware of the channels it will take to communicate those reasons to a particular audience so that they can hear your message and then register. These vary per organization, and therefore it's important for you to think about your own unique situation. But these typically include things like word of mouth. Personal recommendations in any industry, in any vertical, is typically the best way for people to join up. But we can combine with our other things, exclusive invitations, incentivizing a certain group to sign up. Maybe it's an influencer recommendation. It's not just a friend, but it's somebody who the particular demographic really recognizes and admires, who recommends people sign up, is always helpful, and typically one of your best forms of marketing. Because one of the main reasons that many attend an event is because other people they know are attending, it's critical to get the mavens in a particular social group to sign up, those people who are early adopters. Number 2 channel, social media marketing. This has become such a pervasive